Here's what Bears GM Ryan Poles had to say about the trade speculation surrounding his present starting quarterback.
If you decide to draft a quarterback, what is your motivation to trade Justin before free agency starts, knowing that there might be a free hit one?
Yeah, again, it just depends on what opportunities pop up. I will say this. I think you guys know me well enough now. If we go down that road, I want to do right by Justin as well. No one wants to live in gray. I know that's uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to be in that situation either. So we'll gather the information. We'll move as quickly as possible. We're not going to be in a rush and see what presents itself and what's best for the organization.
To get the facts out of the way, Fields counts just $6 million against the Bears' salary cap, 28th among all quarterbacks, which makes him one of the most affordable options on the market. Compare that deal to this year's potential #1 overall pick in Caleb Williams, who's projected to net more than $9.6 million this year. The Bears exercising Fields' fifth-year option for 2025 would bring Fields' earnings to $25.6 million for one season before the team would need to negotiate a long-term extension. So what is the best move for Chicago? That's really what this comes down to. It's very, very simple. I don't even understand why it's so damn complicated, ladies and gentlemen. Fields got to go. He's got to go. You draft Caleb Williams, all right? Now, take this into consideration. I can sit up there and go through all the hoopla. Well, you know what? How much money you want to pay Fields down the road? Is he that dude? I know that he hasn't been surrounded with the greatest talent, the greatest organization. Ryan Poles is really just taking over. He ain't even the one that selected Fields years ago. He certainly didn't hire Eberflus, okay? So it's a situation that was inherited, basically. And when you look at Justin Fields, it's not that great. But here's the thing that stands out of my mind. This is why you absolutely positively cannot stick with Fields, even though I think he has tremendous potential. And whether it's Atlanta or whether it's the Pittsburgh Steelers or somebody, they should strongly consider bringing him on board. Here's why it can't be in Chicago. Caleb Williams is considered a stud. And because he's considered a stud with such tremendous potential, do you want to be the franchise? A franchise, by the way, who already passed up on Deshaun Watson, who already passed up on Patrick Mahomes, and did so in the same draft that they moved up in to get the #2 overall slot to draft Mitchell Trubisky. You can't have Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, and then Caleb Williams on your docket as quarterbacks you've passed up on when the best quarterback in franchise history is Jim McMahon from 1985. Remember that? We are the Bears, the shuffling crew. Shuffle on down, do it for you. We so bad, we know we're good. Remember how corny that damn rap song was when they won the Super Bowl with Mike Ditka as their head coach and Buddy Ryan as their defensive coordinator? Remember that? That dude, Jim McMahon, is considered the best quarterback in Bears history. That's all you got. You cannot, under any circumstances, pass up on Caleb Williams to hold on to Justin Fields, because folks in Chicago have seen enough of Justin Fields to say, hey, you know what? We're not sure we really should go into the future with him, paying him an exorbitant amount of money. We can start fresh because this kid, Caleb Williams, has that kind of rep. That's really what this comes down to. Let's move on, because something else to move on to, and it involves Kirk Cousins and my Pittsburgh Steelers. For the first time since 2018, Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins is on track to become a free agent when the new league year begins in March. Until 2018, however, unlike 2018 rather, this time Cousins will be entering free agency as a 35-year-old signal caller coming off a season-ending Achilles injury. I think he suffered that in week 9. They were 4-4 with him as the starting quarterback. Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell says he wants to have Cousins back in Minnesota. However, there are several teams that have or could have a need at quarterback, including the Denver Broncos, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Atlanta Falcons, the Raiders, the Titans, and of course, my Pittsburgh Steelers. So the question is, should Mike Tomlin want Cousins in Pittsburgh over Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky, or go younger with a guy like Justin Fields? First of all, let me say this. When it comes to Mitchell Trubisky, I take a bag of chocolate chip cookies over Mitchell Trubisky. I wouldn't hesitate. Let's get that out the way first, but he's neither here nor there because he's gone now, okay? Mason Rudolph is approaching free agency. Whether he'll remain on the roster or go somewhere else remains to be seen. It's really just about Kenny Pickett. Now, I've seen flashes of Kenny Pickett, but I'm just not sold. And I think when you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you got to take into account the AFC North. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Deshaun Watson with that Cleveland defense is expected to return. I can't go in the next season with Kenny Pickett as my starting quarterback. I can't do it. Now, is Cousins the answer for Pittsburgh? The answer would be no, because he's coming off an Achilles injury. And due to the fact that he's coming off of an Achilles injury, even though he will have had enough time to recover and as a result should be ready for training camp, I'm not sold on him. He wasn't the most mobile quarterback to begin with. I don't need another statue the likes of Big Ben Roethlisberger in his last years in Pittsburgh. I need a Russell Wilson or I need a Justin Fields in Pittsburgh. So Kirk Cousins, if you were considering going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, get it off your mind. Even though Kirk Cousins is still a better option than anything the Steelers have at this moment in time, he is not a better option than Russell Wilson. He is not a better option than Justin Fields. I would go with one or the other if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? And I think a case could be made for Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. In Justin Fields' case, his youth, his athleticism, the fact that he's mobile, he can run with the football, and he's improving as a thrower. You take your chances with Najee Harris, with Warren out of the backfield, with Pickens and Deontay Johnson at the wideouts, with Freiermuth at the tight end spot. With the Steelers defense, I say you could go young with a Justin Fields and you could potentially make some noise. But in the case of Russell Wilson, not known to really turn the football over, has never thrown more than 13 interceptions in the season, only did that once. Okay, doesn't turn the ball over a lot, engages in ball control, doesn't beat himself, can throw the deep ball, has the knowledge, the know-how, the experience, and the ability to extend plays. All of those things taken into consideration, I would have to say Russell Wilson, you can't lose with him either. That's the way I would look at it, and that's where I would go with it. Let me move on to the next subject because it involves the Dallas Cowboys. I need to talk about these Cowboys. Despite not having won a Super Bowl in about 30 years, 29 to be exact, and getting knocked out by the Green Bay Packers in the wild card round in embarrassing fashion, I might add, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer and Executive VP Stephen Jones is apparently not concerned about the team's culture. He had this to say yesterday at the NFL Scouting Combine or the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Take a look.
I think, from the organization on down, we feel good about our culture. You always want to be better. I will say that. I mean, if you're not, if your results aren't winning the Super Bowl, I think everybody's saying, how do you ultimately be the last guy standing? But I think overall, between, organizationally, between, our coach, our personnel department, I think our leadership on our team's outstanding. So, you're always going to have somebody who's, going to say something, that's not, that might be, hey, that's their particular thought process on why we may have come up short, but I don't think in general, personally, I don't think it's an issue.
Are you kidding me? Seriously? So Jones is saying there are no culture issues in Dallas, and they have outstanding leadership in place, which, of course, includes himself. Last I checked, this team hasn't advanced to the NFC Championship game in the last 28 years. DeMarcus Lawrence came on First Take on ESPN and talked about how the team was tired. Micah Parsons came on my show, the Stephen A. Smith Show, right here from Indianapolis, and he said he didn't like what DeMarcus Lawrence had to say. You can't be tired come playoff time. And that was after family members and friends of players were complaining about changes that needed to be made. Oh, by the way, one of those family members was Dak Prescott's brother, who was saying he'd give anything to get his brother up out of there, as if it's the fans' fault or it's Joe Public's fault that his brother struggles when the lights get brightest in the postseason. Now, he might kind of have a point because really, I got to tell y'all, it's at a point where I can actually reveal my secret. Me trolling the Cowboys, really their fans. You know why I'm able to get away with this so much and know y'all ain't going to do anything about it? Because Dallas Cowboy fans can't help themselves. You're the most nauseating, disgusting fan base in American history. You make me want to vomit every time I have to listen to y'all say, how about them Cowboys? Except when I realize it's such a setup. See, when you win during the regular season, y'all hopes get built. And y'all don't know how to shut the hell up. You start sticking out your chest to bloviate and acting like y'all gonna do something you ain't gonna do. And you put more pressure on the players, and they can't handle it. Because as DeMarcus Lawrence explained, every week is like a Super Bowl. And ultimately, it wears you down. In order for you not to be worn down, you know what Dallas Cowboy fans are going to have to do? Shut the hell up. Dial it back and be cautiously optimistic. And I am here to tell you, Dallas Cowboy fans are incapable of doing such a thing.